All right, we're back, Fifth Fam, part two now for the Arnold Wellness. We're going to go through the rest of the placings. I did top five already in a previous video, and a lot of you requested the rest of it. Okay, so we're going to dive in now, 6th through 12th at the Arnold Classic Wellness. Go over those placings, go over criteria, why those placings may have landed the way they did. And the stuff you want to know as a wellness competitor competing out here, 2025. Let's make sure my mic's working over here. 2025, what you want to be doing, where the criteria is going. And that's what we do on this channel, all right? So if you like that, you like those ideas, subscribe, hang out with me. Turn notifications on, okay? Because we got so much more Arnold coming. Like, we're going to spam you with stuff that's going to make you a better competitor, all right? Let's go. Here we go. So 6th right here, Lisa. Over here, Joanna. 7th, and then 8th over here, Samara. Okay, so a couple more wellness competitors placing outside the top 5 at Arnold, which, as I mentioned in the previous video, which again, please go watch that if you didn't watch that yet. In fact, just pause this, go watch that, come back here because it'll all make more sense. Judges really kind of seem to be going away from the not only symmetrical type of a wellness look where you could be like, okay, a lot more muscle, all matches, but also the leaner and also the more muscular in general look. Okay. So, Lisa, we could have put her in the top 5. Honestly, she's very on par with that type of a physique at that point. She's got, good shoulder shape overall, tapers into the waist, clearly lower body dominant, glutes, quads, hamstrings, all here. A lot of size, a lot of muscle happening. What I think is a different factor for her is she started to get into that group where you could see, the shoulders becoming bigger, becoming too much of, upper body look. And, the biceps, triceps, you could see that kind of matching well as well. But also she really did come in very lean, which we'll see more when we get to the back. But coming in, too lean in this division can really change your scoring considerably. So you want to make sure your conditioning in wellness, even at the pro level, is going to be on criteria, which is a softer level of condition. It's not super hard, grainy, veiny, striation-y, things like that will not favor you well. So we'll see when we get to the back. But for her, great overall shape. Everything's there. Just maybe a tad upper body dominant in that sense. Could look a little symmetrical and also definitely came in really lean. As we move down here, Joanna, here we see the same thing, right? So a lot of shoulder development, a lot of bicep, tricep veins. You can see veins in these photos in her arms. And that is a pretty developed look then for wellness again, which can end up moving you down. So as we move lower in placings, we start to see, this is more, keep in mind, all these athletes very much within wellness criteria. Obviously, they're pros competing at the Arnold. There's no doubt about that. But I am trying to give you insight as, viewers here, spectators. The further we go in placings downward, the more those looks are less like what judges want. And I think that's pretty obvious, but I do think I also have to say it just to clear that up for anybody watching, right? So, as we go here, looking at her physique, tapers in well here. She does look very symmetrical to me, right? So she has the glute shape, the quad shape, everything, all that. Just doesn't necessarily look lower body dominant, at least in this pose, in this shot. That's, where we could go with that. So maybe a little bit more symmetrical, also very lean of a look. And that's kind of, again, the things that seem to be consistent from judges these days. Don't be too lean. Don't be too symmetrical. We want that lower body dominance. We want that muscle mass, but we want it lower body, right? So Samara over here, we're going to get a lot of the same effects. It seems really like, sorry for a little bit of a boring video so far, you guys, but there's not much more to say aside from, at least with these 3 competitors here, that they were a little bit too symmetrical, a little bit bigger in the shoulders and came in leaner. I mean, look at these. You can see a little bit of her ribs coming through, a little bit of the 6-pack. I mean, she's getting that 6-pack lines right there from not having like a hypertrophied 6-pack. It's literally from how lean she is. So very, very lean. Look at like how much that oblique just cuts through. Super lean. Also looking lower body wise, you could say, okay, all the muscles here, but it is pretty comparable and symmetrical to the upper body. So what we're seeing a lot with wellness, and we saw this a lot last year, and it seems to be continuing to happen, is like competitors are just adding a ton of muscle, packing a ton of muscle, and they're coming to stage, very muscular, but it's not really that super lower body dominant look that like Eduarda has, or, Isa has, our top two at this event, for example, right? So it seems to be a clear message again from judges, like, okay, don't overdo the leanness, and also make sure you're not too symmetrical. Now, looking at the back, this is where we always say the full story is. We get a lot of that. This is where like Lisa's physique super could have been in the top 5. I mean, very close anyway with 6, but you can definitely tell very lean. Okay, so very lean for her. I mean, we're seeing veins all through her lower body, striations. So probably too lean. That's really going to be what put her out of the top 5 at that point. The muscles all there, good shape to everything. She could have been maybe a little bit more fullness in the glutes. Her hamstrings and her quads do kind of overpower the glutes at this shot, but still easily could have been top 5. And she definitely does look lower body dominant from the back. Front, however, looks to be a little bit more symmetrical, right? So that's one of those things where this is where poses are considered in all angles all the time. I mean, realistically, we will see that consistently. So you can't just base any type of a placing off of one pose. There's also many factors. Looking outside as we go, Joanna over here, it's just a very symmetrical look. Also could, use a little bit more muscle mass in the quads and the glutes probably overall, especially when you look at that compared to Lisa and the top 5 who are going to be even more muscular at that point. So maybe a little bit more size, a little bit too symmetrical there. And moving out over here to Samara, same thing. Realistically, her quads and her hamstrings actually kind of overpower her glutes. So bringing up some upper glute, overall glute fullness, everything there may be a good idea. Needs a little bit more mass to be able to break into that top 5. She does look pretty good, lower body dominance wise here from this angle. However, that's a better factor. Still very lean though. Like a lot of this, cutting and threading we're seeing here, very lean of a look. So the leaner athletes kind of getting pushed down a bit in their placings. Now let's move to the rest of it here. And then we got Hiei here. So she's taking 9th. We have Sina over here taking 10th. And Victoria over here taking 11th. Sorry if I'm nasally, you guys. Been sick. I know I've been saying that, but I'm not letting up the content or the wellness, that you need to know about. So we're rocking and rolling. By the way, if you're enjoying this, subscribe if you haven't yet. Comment if you have further questions, things you want me to cover more things. This was a video you all commented. That's why I'm making it. All right. So let's get down to it. Over here, we have Hiei. And basically for her, a little bit of a different thing. I mean, she does look pretty symmetrical, but also just does not have a lot of the development overall, right? Like she does not have the same amount of muscularity. I would say her conditioning is very, very good, very on par with what you would want to see in this division. These lines, the obliques, some of the shoulders, all this, great. She has the shape overall. Her shoulders have the roundness and fullness. Her lower body has all the shape it needs. It just needs to be exemplified. So more size for her, a little bit of a different thing from the last 3 that we looked at where they were maybe too symmetrical, too muscular, too lean. She needs honestly a little bit more muscle, and that would have been an advantage for her there in this lineup. Looking over here at Sina again really does have a lot of that, shoulder forward, upper body dominance factor. Great taper into the waist. Overall, lower body does, have the good quad sweeps, all this. To me, though, again, looks pretty symmetrical. So this is a recurring thing we're seeing with a lot of wellness competitors is they are bringing a very symmetrical look. Like they clearly have the right wellness lower body, but the upper body is still too big. So I think that's a factor. Conditioning-wise, on point, everything there should be there that way. I think that makes a difference, though, when you're bringing too much symmetry. Looking over here at Victoria. So Victoria, good shoulder position, overall taper into the waist, a little bit more of a, squared on waist effect. I think that's mainly posing. We do have good quad sweep, everything here. As we always say, though, I don't want to say the same things. She looks symmetrical yet. Let's just go to the back. Let's just go to the back pose. We get the full story. Okay, so Hiei here. She has the whole look, placing above these other two, actually. She just needs more muscle. You can see, right? Like we need more upper glute. We need more overall glute development, better of the tie-in pull through, which is going to come from hamstring hypertrophy, glute hypertrophy, all that. And then maybe a little bit more of the quad sweep. So really she does have a very on criteria look, just needs more development to be in this lineup, and go up higher. Looking over at Sina here. good look overall. Everything is there. I mean, her lower body proportions kind of stand out to me to be maybe just a little bit off. Like her glutes look like they're super popping out a lot more than the rest of her physique. So it may be an issue of rebalancing these muscles a bit, making sure the quads and the hamstrings do match the glutes, or changing the structure of how you've lined that out, right? Because really, wellness, it is really important. It may be the asymmetrically lower dominant division, but you still want to have good symmetry between the muscle groups themselves. The glutes want to match the quads, want to match the hamstrings, so on and so forth. So if you have any muscle group that is blatantly out of, that kind of symmetry, which kind of her glutes are, that's where you can get into that area where, now that's a focus point to improve your placing. Looking at Victoria, same kind of thing happening here, maybe an imbalance, but in a different way. So she's got good quad sweep. Everything is there. Her glutes look like they are a bit under where they should be in this angle, right? She would have more tie-in showing through if her hamstring and glute was hypertrophied more. Her upper glute looks a little bit more flattened. So again, this is an area to bring in more muscle mass. And it makes her upper body look pretty symmetrical due to the fact that we need, a little bit more of that coming through lower body wise. Last competitor of the group, okay, number 12 here, Audrey, okay, so she's just by herself in the screen because we didn't have anybody else to put her next to since she's the last one here. So Audrey has all the good framework. She's got good shoulder shape. Maybe could use a little bit more there. Tapers in the waist. Lower body wise, everything is here. Realistically for her, though, it's the same factor. I mean, honestly, just needs a little bit more muscle mass. Bring all these through, a more upper glute on the glute shape, more overall glute, pull through that tie-in some more, a little bit better symmetry. She's very quad heavy, not as glute heavy, right? The glutes don't really match. The hamstrings don't really match how heavy these quads are. And I think she could use a little bit more fullness and roundness to her shoulder. Conditioning-wise, maybe just a tad tighter as well. So realistically, you get a pretty good insight and how all these competitors can, make changes, make improvements that can affect you out there, right? And a lot of people have a hard time looking at their physique and figuring this out. So if that's you, we do offer a 7-day free coaching trial. Anybody can check that out. I'm not here to plug things, but I'm saying it because people don't know that we offer this. Like if you're enjoying these videos and you're getting a lot out of this, go do my free trial. You can train with me free for 7 days. I can give you feedback on your physique. I can show you how to train even to make the improvements, the things you would want to do. And that's just in the description. But overall, I think as we see the Arnold and it move out and everything go the way that it did, it's a very clear message from judges like, hey, there's a consistent look we like. And that's at this point, Eduarda, Isa, and Fran, and a lot of other competitors that are bringing very big, muscular, symmetrical, hard looks that are really moving outside of the call outs every single time at this point. So hopefully we start seeing a lot more pros bringing in that lower body dominant look with, less focus on the upper body at that point, so they don't look as symmetrical. We see a lot of pros stop trying to come in so lean so that they're not overdoing the condition of the criteria, and we start to get a more consistent message from all athletes across the board, which I really do think we will, because I do think we are now. We're getting it a lot. We get a very consistent look in that top 5 of the Arnold compared to the rest of the call out here. And again, if you didn't watch that video, go watch it. Let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching. Coach Ryan is out.